Peace and love, family. Peace and love. Welcome back to the Mystical's Corner, where this space is created to empower you to reclaiming your voice, rise in your power, and operate at your most fullest, authentic potential. Okay, I am Keela, and I am a person who just loves all things spirituality and philosophy. I'm just a true student to life. And so this space is created by my journey, my research, my studies, okay, and just all of the things that I've learned along the way as I am still learning. Okay. So, welcome back. Welcome back. Y'all get comfortable. Get comfortable. I won't try to hold you long. Okay. And I'm holding the mic because I just don't like the way it looks on my shirt. I'm gonna have to get a situation to where the mic is just posted up. But anyway, today's topic is it came to me a bit unique, but I was here for it. So I got my notes here. If you don't know by now, I'm true to this. Okay, I'm true to it. I like to be on task because I know who I am. All right. So today's topic is all about creating the life that you want. Okay. But it is the spiritual edition, and it will be told with my story as a guide. Okay. And I always think about my story and I think about how long it is and the journey and the years and blah, 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 blah. But we can get this message in a way to where it's interesting. And I hope that it can empower you to discover how spirituality is associated with your life now. And if it is not, how can you discover what works for you to create the life that you want? Okay, and we're going to get into the whys, but let's go ahead and start with the intentions for today. So, the intention for today's video is to empower you to create the life you want by telling my story of the beginning of my spiritual journey. And my hope is that you understand the importance of finding out what God means to you. And before we get started, I don't want to put us in the box by using the word God. That is my method. That is what I like to say, but I also utilize source. I utilize spirit. I utilize highest self. I utilize universe and all of these different aspects because I'm not limited to just one way of thinking, one way of doing, and one way of being. And so spirituality is an individual practice. So whatever works for you and whatever creates a better understanding for you is what you have to do for your journey. It matters. Trust me when I tell you, it matters that you form your own understanding of who and what God is and mean to you, for your journey outside of religion. And you can still operate in your religion because spirituality and religion are two different things. Religion is about your individual relationship with yourself, with the Most High, with God, with Source, with the universe, with yourself. Okay. And so I'll just get right on into it. If so far this is resonating with you, go ahead and go and subscribe before we even get into it, because um I'm going to want to know a little bit about your experiences, and if you want to comment about those things as we're going through, or jot down some questions you want to ask, or not even that, if you just have a perspective to add, I will greatly appreciate it because I'm open to all perspectives. All right, so let's just get into it. This is kind of weird. It's kind of weird, but I'm here for it. So I want to get right into it. And so I've been on this journey for several years now. And so I would like to create. My style of spirituality is free flowing. I am a free flowing spiritualist that has adopted many ways and practices to cultivate oneness with the Most High God for myself and my journey. And I will compile a few details to just explain how I got to this point. And I think the best way to start is the moment that led me to the moment of transformation. And I will begin with the ending of my military career. And so, as I and just getting right on to it, I've been in the military for just over 10 years before I medically retired. But however, during my journey in the military, I've had two deployments, and okay, we can go to some childhood trauma and just life, okay? Life and programming and indoctrination. But also love and experiencing beautiful families and relationships. So there was both. We can't always I won't always acknowledge the challenges because I had a great life coming up. I had an amazing life coming up. But as I was ending my career, a few things had happened. Of course, the deployments, but I had two miscarriages and mental illnesses. And before I medically retired, I was diagnosed with major depressive syndrome and panic disorders, and working in a toxic environment. Okay, so I was at a place of despair. I was at a place of confusion upon leaving, depression just low. Never even knew how I got to that point. It's just I was just in this hole. And when I got sick, and this was when I was really deep in depression, and it was to the point where I could no longer do my job as a leader or as a soldier. And so it was to the point where my psychiatrist was like, we have been going to therapy for this amount of time. We've tried this and we've tried that, and let us know what you want to do. Tell us what you want to do. Do you want us to start the medical board process? What This is your time. And even with that, because I always thought about getting out, but I didn't know how or what the opportunity would look like, because for myself, I wasn't going to just ETS, and that's just when your contract is up, you get out. Something had to happen because it was a livelihood situation where it provided for my home, and my husband was an active duty soldier as well. So I took what she said and I went home and I had a discussion with my husband about it. I'm like, this is what she suggested. This is what I have going on. This is how sick I really am. I'm actually considering getting out. And he agreed because of course he was experiencing me during that time. And so I started the process. The process went smooth. It took about 6 months, I would say. And um, then I get out. I got out right at the beginning I medically retired right at the beginning of the pandemic. Okay. My husband was away doing military training. So it was me, my daughter, and my pup. All right. And I had different plans when I got out. I imagined doing yoga. I imagined walking, going to school, working out, like creating a different life for myself because, again, I'm in the dark. I'm in the dark. So when the pandemic happened, I was in the dark even more because I no longer have my career. I no longer have a purpose. I no longer have an identity. I no longer have anything but this darkness that I sit in. Now I have my family, but to me, I'm in the dark. I'm not thriving. I am unwell. Okay? So, I was not the best version of myself for them. Now, did I hide my pain? Yes. From the outside, I masked it, I covered it, I did all of these things, but operating from the inside out, I was in a dark space and I was just trying to figure out how to survive. I was trying to learn how to live with depression, learn how to live with anxiety, and it created more for me and for us to be stuck in the house during that time. And we're like, we didn't know what was what, the kids at home from school. So that opened up another can of beans and it made me realize my my pain. And I had a few occurrences where I blacked out. I had anger outbursts. I just was in a place where I could not control myself. And so I would say that was the period of the beginning of the dark night of the shadow. And the dark night of the shadow means, going to my good old definition here, and I'm pretty sure there are a few definitions for this here on the line on the Googles. So, the dark night of the soul is a transformative spiritual crisis where a person experiences a collapse of their former meaning and beliefs, leading to feelings of disconnection, despair, and meaningless. Okay, and this is another definition. The dark night of the soul is a profound, transformative, spiritual experience of intense emptiness, loss of meaning, and spiritual dryness, often accompanied by despair, but ultimately leading to a deeper, more authentic state of being and consciousness. I like that one because it don't just stop at the dark. It tells you it's leading you to the light, and I can get with that. So I went through that period where I felt deeply disconnected from everything because I was deeply disconnected from myself. And so I just got to this place where I had this like realization that I keep talking to people about my problems. I keep going to therapy, and it's just like none of this is working. Like none of this stuff is working. And something just deeply quiet but deeply in my spirit said, just be quiet. But it told me shut up. It said just shut up. And that meant to me is what that meant to me was to stop talking about your problems to people, become more quiet in your world, and let's get to what's going on in these thoughts. But that led me into, and this is when I got curious because nothing out here is helping me. Nothing. So the only option I had was to see what this voice inside of me is talking about. Because at this point, I was okay with death. Okay, I was already operating in it. So I decided to just take a listen and be more aware of what's on my news feed. Like stuff about spirituality was coming up now. And I started to click, and I was introduced to meditating. And I started to meditate. And at the beginning of my meditation journey, it didn't make sense. My husband and I was just talking about this the other day, how I started with just 3 to 5 minute meditations because at this point, I just need to sit here. None of this stuff is making sense. Everything in my body is saying, girl, we don't want to do this. Why are we here? It's just empty. It's these little thoughts. It's blah, 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 blah. But something says, just keep doing this. Just keep doing this. And it became a habit. But then it also began to make me aware of myself and of my pain and of my journey and of my trauma and of like the pain of my miscarriage, the pains that I've experienced in relationships. Everything was coming to the surface, but not at one time. And I started to just move with the flow of what I'm learning. And then my spiritual curiosity increased. And so I started to learn about chakras. I was reading all kind of books. I just began to shift. But one of the major things that I felt like really helped me shift, because I was overweight at the time, was I got to 198 pounds. And I think I looked at a picture. You can't see it in the mirror, but when you look back at that picture, I said, who is this girl? And I could see myself just covered in food and covered in alcohol and like covered in pain. Not literally, but I saw it on me. I saw myself hiding from my mess. And I just said, I'm going to walk every day. Now, I didn't have a weight loss goal. I just needed to do something. And I didn't make it about weight loss. I made it about just walking because I didn't need the added layer of pressure. I needed changes in my life to happen. And I just walked almost every day, few miles, because I've been in the military. I know how to put some miles in. But walking every day and just stuff shifting. I'm making changes in my life. I'm adding routines. I'm learning about all sorts of different spiritualities and all of these things. And um, hold on, I'm looking at my notes. Said it, then said. And then I became completely enmeshed into this healing journey, right? Because now my awareness is spiking up. Like things are looking different. Things are being more colorful and bright. So this is when the shift started to happen. Let me tell you about this shift. I began to feel different. I began to feel lighter, but I began to notice the difference between dark and light, evil and good, good and bad, love and indifferent. And I found God then. Through the course of all that other stuff, I knew about God. I was raised Christian, but I had no connection to God. Like I didn't know how to have relationship with God. I prayed to this being. I asked this being to help me fix my life. But there was no connection, and I thought that God just didn't hear me, or God just probably was not real. But when this shift started to happen, it showed me that the source of truth, love, and light is within me. That I had to go deep within to find the light, to turn the light on, to operate in that light, but to cultivate this light before we even really ever operating in it for real, but cultivating the relationship with God, source, my highest self, my highest divine self, my or it's so what I'm really saying is, and this is us getting to the understanding of what who God is for you in your life, the source of your being. It was like somebody plugged me into the source of power, of electricity. And that really is what this energy is all about, because God is energy. God is the all, right? And so I was beginning to heal. I was healing. And I became more interested because now I done lost a whole lot of weight. Like your girl don't even look the same. Like I could tell that the layers of just darkness, pain, trauma was falling off of me, and I could actually begin to see myself. Now, this has come from me listening to that inner voice, and that inner voice was the light, it was the source within me. But I was so far from it, and it was so covered on with just burdens of trauma, pain, triggers that I could barely hear, but it's always with us. Okay, it's always with us. And I started fasting a lot. I was fasting wine and alcohol and things. And that's when I realized that I really don't like alcohol. Alcohol was used to cope. And so when I fasted from the alcohol and came back to it, I did not like it. And I could not stand the feeling of being like not even drunk, buzzed. So I was like, okay. So that was something that my body used to survive, to cope, to get through to where we are now. I don't really need the light on this computer. And so everything shifted. My relationship with my husband shifted, my relationship with my children, my family shifted, because I was no longer the old version of Keela. And people started to notice my change. And my mama one day was like, "When did you get like this?" Like I was just evolving and evolving and evolving. Now I'm talking in a span of 5 years. Okay, 5 years. And so I just became immersed in studying. I wanted to study everything. I read the Bible. I read books about Jesus. I've read books about African spirituality. I read books about um oh my god, so many books on consciousness and oneness and all of the things, all right? But particularly since I said Jesus, I'm not religious. Well, I won't say I'm not a Christian, but I do and utilize the story of Yeshua, because the story of Yeshua changed my life. but my belief system is not the same as the Christian belief system, and that is perfectly fine. And there is nothing wrong with that because it's not that I don't believe, it's just the belief system setup is not in alignment to mine. So, baby, I love Yahshua too. Okay. But anywho, let me make sure I said everything before I just land this plane here. Okay, so one of the main things is that's important to me about this journey and creating the life that you want is it is important for you to go through the journey to discover who your source is, where your source is, and what your source means for you, and create a relationship with the source. And I'm not separating you from the source. I'm just saying that the source is in you, and they even talk about this in the Bible. You marry God. You become one with the source within you. You become one within the power within you, so that as you're healing, growing, and evolving, you're embodying all of what you're learning, all of the wisdom. You're embodying this. So it's not something that you do, it's something that you become. Okay? It's a version of you that you are becoming when you are integrated with the most high God. And so I'm gonna land the plane right here because it just leads us right into spirituality is the root and foundation to self actualization. But it's not just spirituality, it is with your understanding of who God is within you, not outside of you. Okay, because your path is unique, it is designed specifically for you, and it's not linear. And the one thing I didn't want religion to do is to separate you from your most high. Okay, separate you from yourself. You are not separate from the most high. It's always, how can I show up as the spirit of the most high, honoring my vessel, honoring my spirit, honoring my soul and my mind, and all of these things, because you are the source of your power. When you integrate with that, that's when purpose wakes up. That's when aspirations and inspirations start to happen in your life, because you have clarity now on who you are, and this gives you meaning. It brings you towards consciousness. Okay, so with that being said, it is the foundation to the all of your life, to the peace of your life, to the harmony in your life, to the joy, to the goodness in your life. But you have to align with the source that is within you, not outside of you. Everything that is outside of you is a reflection of who you are within. And you cannot create the life that you want properly if you don't embody what you're asking for. Because when you're manifesting and you're praying for something, you will receive who you are and what you put out into the world. So it is important that you embody and cultivate your authenticity, but also the oneness with the spirit of the all. You create your life from that foundation, not the foundation of survival. You've been surviving. How's that working? What about thriving and faith and creating what you want based off of what you want, not what you see in the world? Focusing on what you're good at, so that when you do find work, you know what you're good at, and that you can put that passion into the world. You can put good into the world. Once you start being in a space to where you're adding and multiplying and making things bigger and greater, you receive that back abundantly. So, according to your spirituality, your relationship with the Most High, right now, where you are in your life, does it work for you? And if it does not work for you, how can we discover more ways or more ideologies or more, um, I don't know. I won't say more, I guess I don't want to say more anything. But how can you discover within your spirituality to make it work for you? What is your relationship with the highest source? What is your relationship with your God? What's the relationship with nature? What is your relationship with yourself? Okay, and I'm gonna read these over again because these are the journal prompts. Are you open to exploring deeper what that means for you? And sometimes this will have you, if you're, say, for instance, you grew up Christian, this may have you questioning a lot about your religion. And there's nothing wrong with that. You need understanding. It is your responsibility. Your understanding of the Most High, of your relationship to yourself is it's life or death. And I'm not talking about physically, okay? So your understanding of the Most High, so let me go back. Let me do these journal prompts real quick. What you currently do and how you currently practice your spirituality and or religion when it comes to your desires, what you want out of life, how you want to feel in life, does it work for you? What is your relationship with God? What is your relationship with nature? What is your relationship with yourself? Don't judge yourself as things come up. Don't lie to yourself. Write down the truth. The truth only heals. So when you can acknowledge something, even if it's like, man, I fully don't really believe or I need more information, it's okay to say that. Because all you're going to do is get more information, find understanding. Ask and you will receive, but you have to put yourself in a space to listen. Are you open to exploring deeper studies, deeper meaning, and what that means for you? Okay. Those are your journal prompts. Those are your journal prompts. Okay. Well, I am going to close it out here. I hope I did not hold you long. I hope that it was interesting for you and that it resonates for you. And even if you are having questions or you want to just deepen where you are, let's talk about it. Get in them comments, okay? And also subscribe while you're here and turn on the notification bell, okay? So I think we have reached the end of the video. And thanks for staying to the end. So much gratitude. So much gratitude. Um, all right. Look at me trying to just make sure. All right, until next time. Peace be with you. I love you and have an amazing rest of the week.